Hello, Troy. Hello, everybody else.
Hello.
We have a very special announcement program for everybody today because we've made some preparations and decisions about offering a service to prepare business proposals, which is quite natural, actually, considering the status of our company, how many people that we represent and work with. And Troy's put something together that I'm going to hand over to him, and I'll be interrupting as usual, to talk about and what's involved in building a proposal and what it takes to make it work.
hmm
Troy, you want to take it from
Yeah.
here?
Yeah, and I guess I have to remind myself that our approach really is for you and I to talk, Danny, and I'm talking to you with this, concept as it's developing. And of course, we've got this door open where people are, being able to watch these videos, which I think, is the value that we're providing as an open and honest approach.
Right.
And yeah, so that is included in what we are now moving towards, which we started, exploring the options for using this group, this 104, which is 1,000 members, which is growing on LinkedIn, about 100 new requests every day. And to utilize that in a way, and our ideas were starting with a union and then kind of merging into a data scientist amalgamated group. And we spoke to a few people and got some feedback about that. But one of the things coming out of it was that we needed to present the value, the evidence that coming up with the money to join something else, the evidence that we were able to provide, something of value, whatever they paid, still is a little bit lacking. And that's why, we haven't really been able to get people to come up and give us,
We presume.
Well,
We
yeah,
presume.
that's the thoughts right now, perhaps. That's so, but in that light, we've decided to shift a little in direction and promote the business in the aspects of what we feel we are really good at and capable of doing, and in a space that we think people are in need. And you said it yesterday, something along the lines of, if you could do something that people themselves either are incapable or don't like doing, then, and we do it well, we've got a great, service that people
We don't need to feel like we're struggling all the time, right?
That's
Well,
right.
we've developed some skills and some abilities that we can market because it's actually part of what we're doing.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Other people and their projects need to be promoted as well.
That's
But
right.
I would say without a good, solid proposal that covers all the bases,
hmm
the chances are less.
Exactly. And that's our new direction, is proposal writing. So Datalogical Services prepares business proposals, but it does it in this way that is unique and entertaining to read. And why we can do that is because of our mix of skills and experiences. And yours from, this branding and marketing and sales approach, and my technical data science influence. And we're not only, preparing the proposals and walking out the door. We can, as an ongoing service, help people, whatever proposal we prepare together, execute them and be around for the ensuring the success of that execution of the proposal, and then the maintenance of updating and upgrading, whether it's software or process around the way that they do business. And, you know, like we were just saying, there's an opportunity for a vineyard, a chateau, which has a business model in you know, data science can assist that. Well, in the first, before we get to actually assisting the execution, it's preparing the proposal so that people can see it as a great opportunity. And what we want to,
You know,
yep,
you're absolutely right. And I'm thinking that this is a rather lengthy proposal. And I would like to make a suggestion, not to cut you off, but to cut you off, is that you've prepared some talking points. And I think from where we're going right now, any one of these talking points can lead to a lengthy conversation or disclosure about each point being made. So in order to get us into it before we exhaust our listeners, would you mind very much reading the first talking point, which begins with DLS prepares all proposals? Would you mind? Do you think it's a worthwhile suggestion?
Yeah.
Let's get into the meat. Yeah.
Yep.
You still have something to say, right?
Well, no, yeah, I was reading this morning, and just for the for us as well to know that this is still unedited, and there's a bit of repetitiveness that I want to tidy up. But I'll read the whole paragraph, which is just 3 or 4 sentences.
Yeah, makes sense. Go ahead.
So yeah, I wrote it as the prelude because when we prepare a proposal, I want people to not only read the proposal, but to get an essence of what, you know, how we are unique and the difference that we, you know, supply. And
I think they'll get it, Troy.
They probably will get it, yeah, from the proposal.
Yeah. But let's see. Let's dive in.
Yeah. So Datalogical Services prepares business proposals. Datalogical Services prepares all proposals as live documents that provide easy to read details of the value exchange at hand, without the tedious, repetitive, and dry terminology that most business proposals contain. Our proposals use an easy to read approach to inform readers concisely about the situation and opportunity at hand. It includes an iterative agile action plan and cost benefit / risk analysis on the execution of those actions. Immutable versions of the proposal are archived for historical referencing using blockchain technology.
That's a hell of a statement, actually, because I was listening into it, I might say, when you were reading it, even though I've read it before too.
Yeah.
It touches on a level of seriousness that I think defeats most people in their idea of starting a business. Because this is nothing more than making your idea, your plans, how you're going to do it, crystal clear.
That's right.
And if nothing else, that should help every person who submits a business plan in knowing that if you can't make it through that, and you're going to be discouraged doing all of that, then it's probably time you rethink where you're going to be putting all of your time and energy and resources, right? And not let the process discourage you, which is pretty hard. And I would say just getting through that first paragraph and what its implications are, that it will cull probably, I don't know, my educated guess, at least, and I'm thinking more, at least 50% of the people who realize that this is something that they don't want to do. Why? Because it's going to cost them money, because flushing out their idea will expose not only the strengths, but the weaknesses of their proposal. And if we're involved and we, through our experience, can see what the probable outcomes are ahead of them even, because it's like a mixed market, right? It's not just you waking up and you had a dream and then suddenly you're going to go out and do it. This is where the phrase reality bites comes from, I believe.
Yeah.
And it's an eye opener. We should, probably stop this program right now, because I think, or people can go back and listen to the first few minutes. This is very serious.
Yeah.
You mentioned a client, or well, we have a couple of clients right now that we're dealing with, who principally reacted by saying, well, I'll do it myself. It's like, go ahead. We're not here to stop you. And I told this one, the first one, I said, it sounds like to me that you can't afford it, which brings to mind, the phrase, which I use quite often, is you cannot not afford it. You have to do it. Or, you're just playing around.
Yeah.
And it's better that we know, and it's better that he or she knows that it's just dream weaving, right? Because, just pitching the idea and going through all of the details, which is extremely valuable, I think, to anybody who has a project or who has a business, is infinitely valuable.
That's right.
And each client will have to, being put in center stage, justify, accept, maybe doing a little character analysis of yourself and the people you're working with as to whether or not it's a good match.
Yeah.
And we're not even at the point where once and I don't want to take too much time, when we get through with the proposal, what happens then? Because if you come to us, then we're going to say about all the people that we know, it's a go, or it's a no-go, or it's a maybe, and we understand what it's like to put your own money into a project, right? It's no fun. But some people sell their house.
That's right.
Mortgage their house.
Yeah.
To do something they strongly believe in. And I think this is what separates, as we used to say, the men from the boys, or the women from the girls.
I used to hear it, the men from the mouse, men from the mice.
That's a point to be considered as well,
But
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that-
you actually dive into something you call the beginning. So this is kind of like increasing your awareness about what the hell you're getting into to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And this is by no means exhaustive, right?
Yeah.
This is put something together so people have a better idea about what it's like to work with us, how we think, what we can do. And eventually, if we love it, then it becomes part us as well. Then we're enthusiastic about pitching it and getting the money to make something like this happen. But that's not the end of it, right? Because the people who give the money want to know what you're going to do once you get the money.
Exactly.
Think of it as your money. What kind of questions would you ask?
Exactly. And then, setting up the tools for reporting the success of the project in terms of the data science project, just making sure it's easy for everybody to see that, yes, this was a good decision to invest this money into this project, but not just, on the positive side, but automatically, or, as early as possible, identify issues and say, well, these were the targets, but it's a little low, and what perhaps can we do about that? And your and my combination of skills in interest in problem solving can be there all along the way. Say, well, perhaps we try this, or this is a new technology could come in and say, here's something that we could consider integrating. just to ensure that, yeah, the ongoing success of the original proposal that we prepared, and with the mindset that, you know, we will put down these frameworks for data collection, analysis, and insight discovery. So I think, yeah, we're on to it.
This is, you know, I want to bring this up. I didn't prepare you for it, but it just jumped into my mind, is Ronnie, the client that we had before.
Mhm.
And, you know, we worked out a deal. He has to have people have to pay a retainer, right, for the work that we do. And we broke it down into 3 segments and gave him a break, a really nice break, and said, okay, at the end of the first month, we'll examine what he thought was a grand proposal.
Mhm, mhm.
And it was very clear to me from the get-go that the way the presentation had been formulated was not going to invite any investor past page 1.
Mhm.
And the tough part of our job, and the tough part for the client, was to, well, it was tough for him to pay because he defaulted. But it was hard for him to believe that our hit on his proposal was, it's just not going to work. And they were basically some of his definitions, which led him off into Wonderland.
Mhm.
And things he didn't think of. It was like his misinterpretation of certain concepts, which he was erroneously using,
Mhm.
while he hated or disliked or didn't agree with, whatever word you choose, where that basic concept was formulated. And
Mhm.
so it's like, you're not going, there's no direction for you to go with this proposal. And, you know, that shocked him as well as it should. And he wasn't able to recover.
Yeah.
And I think he defaulted because that was an expression of his dislike for pushing his face into something that he really needed to know. And he had a wife and kids and, you know, all kinds of stuff that he needed to provide for.
Yeah.
And we had the very tough job of telling him this, you can do what you want, but it's our opinion that this is not going to go anywhere, because it was so complicated that it was impossible, for me at least, to get past the introduction.
Yeah.
And made a few comments and suggestions. And since he hadn't come up with the money already, which, as I said, you know, we gave him a break, he decided to walk away.
Mhm.
We won't let that happen again, by the way, right?
Well,
And
I
it was,
think we've learned a lot since then, and you know, this
Oh, yeah.
direction around, you know, the proposals, and you know, getting them super clear, super quick. I think, and this is the beauty about our approach, is that very quickly we'll be able to know whether it's going to work or not. And there will be cases that don't work, and yeah, for whatever reason, we know that, you know, let's not keep going down this path and
Yeah.
change projects altogether, or you know, just say, you know, good luck, and everybody, you know, kind of goes their separate way. But I think with our, you know, enhanced direction around super clear proposals, starting small and precise, and then building on top of that till, you know, it is like, the term we use between you and me is Danny ready. And I can talk about what that means, but yeah, Danny ready really means that it's in that ballpark, that it's very clear and easy to read, and there's no ambiguities, and everybody understands, and it's also entertaining, and you know, flows like a poem,
Yeah.
as if
If you want
reading.
people to read it, right?
That's right. And this is the goals that, you know, we've set for ourselves, and we've got the man here, Danny, to actually get them Danny ready. So I reckon, yeah, it's going to be just going to be flowing from now on. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Can I do a jump cut here?
Yeah.
When Troy sent me this, I was amazed, absolutely amazed at his ability to break this down. And I think, Troy, we may be looking at least two segments, two
Sure.
different episodes to talk about this without trying to cram too much down people's throats.
Yep.
And it came to a point where I'm trying to amend my own ideas about, and this sort of steals the show for just a moment, because I started thinking, how does a relationship begin, right? And to make it as simple as possible and give the power, I'll recognize the power of the client to withdraw at any time, right? And that would be with certain milestones or certain signposts along the way that gives everybody an easy in.
Mm-hmm.
And I made some notes. I thought, how do you begin? How do we accept things from people if they think, wow, this is great, somebody to write a proposal for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to learn about the money. And as you start dishing out the money, or you give a retainer, we make an agreement about where that takes you, that I started thinking, okay, how would I begin, or what would I want to do if I came to you and me, Troy?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, okay, let's start with a teaser.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what it is you're doing, right?
Yep, exactly.
And if it sounds like something that we could sink our teeth into,
Mm-hmm.
then I may ask for, this may seem incremental, an overview,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
And then after that, we could get into an executive summary,
Sure.
proving to us and yourself that you're either ready, not Danny ready, but you're either ready or you're not ready, and you got other homework to do,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
In this process of developing your project,
Yep.
or developing the financing for your project, which is what these other two projects are at. They like to tell me that they got everything ready, and it's like, okay, where is it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I expected that.
Mm-hmm.
And you want us to help? Well, what the hell do you know about widgets? And it's like, well, we know about proposal writing, and we know that that the number of people that get involved in developing a project, probably 99.9% of them don't know anything about widgets.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not their job.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's your job.
Yep.
And you have to, when you think you're just going to go from calling us to, a broker or a financier or an investor, it doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's a long step. When you're choosing a friend, you don't just say, you'll be my friend for life after your first meeting. I mean, sure, it happens,
Mm-hmm.
but you need to get to know these people and
That's right.
work your way in. And then after the executive summary, I said, okay, we're into a full proposal and review.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you can do it, what does it look like? Tell us everything you know. And then probably get into some kind of a rewrite or edit. Keep in mind that you've got amendments, you've got missing information, because we're going to tell you if we think it's essential and it's not there.
Mm-hmm.
Is it certified? Is it validated? Do you have references? You're going to run the show. Tell the investor a little bit about yourself and why you think you're capable.
Yep.
Right? Those kinds of things. What's your budget? Where is everything appropriated? What about contingencies? The list is endless. You will think about them after we bring them up.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll give us your answer, and then we'll work our way through your answer to go back to, sorry, Troy, it's the Irish in me, go back to what Troy begins to identify with that we think is essential for you to know.
Exactly.
So, pardon me for, jumping in, but I felt it was necessary to prepare our listeners for any contingency. And
Mhm.
now you're going to get into point by point, which I think is extremely well done. And I hope our viewers and listeners agree. Please.
Yeah, well, I think from our job now is to actually execute, and I think we're developing it as we're executing it, and we can apply the same approach to ourselves, and see what works and what is needed, keeping it agile. And as we have examples that are coming out, and the things that are work, we can present this journey of ourselves to the people watching this channel, and they can come along with us, and in that approach learn more about what it is that we're talking about. And but in simplicity terms, it's just we help with proposals. And why you would want to come to us is our unique mix of branding and technology approach, and keeping it modern and simple and not dry and wordy, which I think is in a way that is a lot of work, but I think doesn't need to happen that way. You don't need to go to McKinsey or JP Morgan and spend that money on producing a very big technical and dry document, when we can do it with an interactive approach that comes as a more fun and enjoyable discovery process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
stay tuned, I reckon, is what the approach is for everybody to keep in mind, is that they'll learn it as we go.
Yeah, it's you said iterative,
Mm-hmm.
as in reiterate, because I had difficulty with using that word in context as well, and how you use it.
Yeah.
But just the flexibility, the ability to be able to dance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's Nietzsche who said that the first sign of being a god is being light on your feet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that means that you have to respond as you will in practice. When somebody throws you a monkey wrench or they throw you a curve, what are you going to do? Well, that's not fair. Or you offended me, is like, you know what? This is business.
Mm-hmm.
Or like when I was, in entertainment, it was like, you offended me. And it's like, it's my job to offend you.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you want a wake up call, or you want to keep sleepwalking?
Well, yeah, that's the point. Also, it didn't come up in this conversation, but in the proposal preparation, is the unbound to groupthink. And this is what I think our unique approach can also emphasize, is that it's an external perspective, and we consider the aspects at a holistic level because of our backgrounds and nature. And if there is something that needs to be said, it's just said. Not of course, in some cases it may be hard to hear, but this is why we present it. It's because it's important to know. And that was, I think, something, if we go back to one of our early clients that you mentioned, Ronnie, I think the things we were telling him were too hard to hear.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I think now that we have this process of opening, that discussion with that sense that, the things we're about to tell you may be hard to hear, prepare them for that, and let them absorb the information and see that, we need to overcome these challenges together in order to, make a solid proposal that everybody can understand, that's involved, the investors, the users, the developers, and we're here
Yeah.
to make that happen
We're-
and support it.
We're rather a boutique, I might say, so we're able to give a lot of attention to what it is we're doing, not only because we love it so much, it's fun for us. It's not really work. We understand it's accomplishing goals and things like that. However, I reinterpret things. And I think that gives, our clients a distinct advantage. Because, wouldn't you rather know before you get really deep into it that you lost your desire, you as the client, right?
That's right.
It's like, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. What do you mean I need money? It's like, well, it helps,
Mhm, mhm.
right? Like the guy we were talking to yesterday said, money's a part of life. Well, he's right. We're not in love with money, because we figure that the money will come when you do a good job. The money, I think there are books and books about that. Do what you love and the money will follow, or something, of that
Yeah.
nature.
Yep.
Well, we think so too, because it's you get what you pay for.
Yep.
And if you're getting something for free, they've always told me, well, that's what it's worth. Nothing.
Yep.
Right. So we like to think that, we're not tyrants, right? No Genghis Khans here. But we're not sucked into doing something a special way. We're flexible. We
Mhm,
want to know.
mhm,
And two, the advantage is, we've got a lot of friends who are wealth managers, who investors, people like that all around the world.
mhm, mhm.
And we know or know pretty well who to go to,
Yeah.
and how to approach them. And it's not like, when you need a lawyer, you go back to school to be one.
Mhm,
Well, there are lawyers out there already, but how do you choose the right one?
Yep.
You go through the phone book. Excuse me, there are no phone books anymore. Not here anyway.
Mhm, mhm.
I don't know. How do you find somebody?
Yeah.
We went through all those phases too, when we had to look through the yellow pages, and
Sure.
people don't
Yeah.
even know what I'm talking about, right? I think I'm trying to reach Lee. How do I find Lee if he's not answering his old phone? And it's like, what do I do now? How do I find Lee?
Mhm, mhm.
You got to stay up on that stuff. And
Yeah.
that's the beauty of what you're doing, because we're becoming a technocracy. Everything is based on the internet, and and these things. And if you're focused on a screen, then you can't make on a social networking, whatever. You're not going to be able to create your business exclusively by having it in an app.
Mhm.
Presumably you're appealing to people, or you have something to sell to people, or something to advise people of, or promote yourself. And the market's a funny place, because it can change overnight.
That's right.
Not to mention, the introduction of some variable, some virus or something, where people start taking advantage of everything they can grab. And then, people are standing in front of you saying, listen up now, this is the way you're going over here, because if you don't go this way, there's going to be problems. And, those kinds of things need to be considered. What's your backup plan, right?
Yeah. That's
And how do you react to bad news or good news, for that
that's
matter?
right. Keeping it agile. The two words I like to use is agile and iterative. Iterative means, we come back and review regularly of where we're at. Agile means we can spin and pivot and change direction. And these are important because, of how changeable the world is. And in my industry, technology, it's, easy to see how technology, what people sometimes call disruptive technology, can give new opportunities, or if it's hopefully more by choice than by being forced to take it on. We're here on that support level to actually understand things are going to change. But I think we can start to finish up this call and this recording. And let people
We're never
see
finished, Troy.
how it's going to develop in that. We want to put some real cases to it, and very soon we're going to have some real cases to show and to execute through, and people will, I think, get a clearer picture of what it is that we're actually offering with some examples and results.
I think we consider this really a fresh approach.
Exactly.
Because this didn't just happen overnight. Troy and I have known each other for about 5 years, right?
Exactly.
5 years.
Yeah.
We met in Bhutan at a happiness conference. And as our journey went along, we realized that, we could take a concept, take it to its end, right? Of what we felt like, excuse the word, was profitable for the project and us. And we didn't make money for a long, long time. But it did not deter us from following our heart, right? And doing what we thought was best, especially, you're in the realm of Buddhism and Hinduism and lots of other philosophical approaches to one's life. And it took us around the world 2-3 times until we decided that our best approach would be to use our best talents. Now, I think both of us have many, many talents, but when Troy and I started to work together, it became clear to both of us that our biggest strength in working together was what you're witnessing now, right? Of having 104,000 people at our beck and call. And how do you do that? How do you use that? How do you utilize that? How do you get people interested?
That's right.
How does everybody profit from that? And every one of them, I must say, I believe, wants to know us, right? Who are these people? And that's fine. I don't mind at all. And so we got into YouTube and these kinds of Danny and Troy show to give people the opportunity to witness, not firsthand, but secondhand, what it's like to be around these people.
Exactly.
And I don't think either one of us is going to be offended if you decide, well, I don't want to work with these people. It's like, no problem, man, no skin off our teeth. But we see that we can be useful. And in the process, it's not a job, it's a career, right? It's a path.
Well,
and we're very lucky to have found a way that, our expression joins us together with all kinds of interesting people and projects.
Yep. I think, it's a lifelong journey. We're on it and opening the doors for others to participate. We've got, I believe, a unique service for us to, share with the rest of the world. And it starts with that group of 104,000. I don't think they're actually at our beck and call, but we can send a message to them once a week and see what they react as. But now that we are making it clear of what we can actually do, more of them are going to be coming to us and saying, how can I participate and what can I do? And we want to actually do things for them. Is that we want to ask you, what do you need and how can we help? Of course,
Yes.
We're not going to go, clean people's shoes or clean their house, but we're going to apply our skills. If you see value in a proposal preparing process that includes, the skills and knowledge and experience of Danny and Troy, then we're here to help.
What you just said, I interpreted in a single word, really. And I think it's a very valuable and maybe all-inclusive word called definition.
Right.
right? You want to know a lot. You want words defined. You want your path defined.
Hmm.
You want to know who you are and how people, Troy and I, maybe question, what you're doing, and do you have a defense? Do you have a reason, that sits well with you
Yeah.
first,
Yeah.
and then to follow your path that you have chosen, and like in katana samurai sword training, they don't start off with swords, they start off with sticks,
Hmm. Hmm.
right?
Exactly.
So you may get a little bruise or two, on your arm, but you're not gonna get your arm cut off,
Hmm. Hmm.
And we don't like to coddle people, I think anyway, maybe I should speak for myself, that who was it, Buddha said that life is struggle,
Hmm.
but you don't get anywhere if you don't struggle.
Hmm.
I mean, we're not going to beat you to death or anything like that, but because we have a sense of humor.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, we're pretty worldly characters. We'll get into that later, maybe not. But we operate, rather well, um, and we like meeting people. We like promoting projects. We like using our skills, and that's what we do quite well.
Yeah.
I hope you agree.
Well, I think we don't need to actually tell people and try to convince them, because this is what we're going to be doing. And just stand by
Yeah.
and watch and observe it and make up your own mind. Because
Yeah.
we're opening our doors, and like we're starting to accumulate a series of videos and put them up on YouTube. And by the way, we got this amazing note taker called Notive that's is transcribing every word we say into readable text, so that even though these videos may be lengthy in terms of keeping your attention. I know people talk about keeping videos under 2 minutes because of how short attention span people have these days. But we want to provide ability for people to absorb the information at a pace that they're comfortable with, and transcribing it into text is one of the ways. I know myself, if I see a video that's 30 or 40 minutes or longer, think, do I have the time to watch it? But I usually put it on double speed, and hear it like chipmunks, and you can still absorb the information. But with the text approach of being able to scan and read with and pick out those points, we're considering that, and also providing a solution through the transcribed audio of every video. So I think we'll end this one here, and let's get to work, Danny. And we've got a list of proposals that are needing our attention.
Yep. And I think because we've almost been online for like an hour, and you're talking about limiting 10 minutes. Well, I think we've exceeded that.
Well,
so
2 minutes is what people anything beyond 2 minutes.
Wow. Okay, well, we could do a 2-minute approach right now. Call today. No, we're not going to give that nonsense to you.
Exactly.
But I would like to suggest that we stop now.
Yeah.
Because a lot of information, that I think the people who are listening have taken into their hearts, right? If they're serious people, or if not, it's like, oh, that was interesting.
Yeah.
Right. And you've always got that little pause button, right? You can always pause it and come back to it, save it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Do we have a subscribe button yet?
Yeah, let's subscribe.
Got a subscribe button, yeah. Okay, all right. So we're hot stuff. And pick up on this tomorrow and go back to, I'll bring my gag next time, right? So won't talk everybody to death, but And
I think-
maybe, you know, people will watch this one and say, I gotta see what he's talking about tomorrow.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. I think we just show them what we're talking about. And
Yeah.
yeah. All
And
right.
that, by the way, is a very important point for me to close with. And that is to say, we will be requiring, if we get to that point, what's called full disclosure.
Mhm.
Meaning we won't allow you to hide anything, because if people are going to be investing $1 million or $100 million in what you're doing, they want to know, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Right. So you really have to let them know. And that's the key. That's the secret is, you know, come clean,
Yep.
and people can always forgive you. Right.
Yep.
If they see that, you know, you've made changes or whatever. But, you know, the honesty is the best policy.
That's right. Wonderful. Okay. I'll hit the
Okay.
stop button.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Troy.
Okay.